Hello, and welcome to LILIN's EdgeAI camera webinar. I'm Ian, Product Manager here at LILIN, and I will be running today's webinar for you. A few housekeeping rules before we start. We have disabled your microphones, and there will be Q&A available during this webinar. Please post your questions, and I will put 10 minutes aside at the end to answer any questions you may have. Thank you. So, who are LILIN? We are a Taiwanese manufacturer established in 1980. This makes us over 40 years old. We've had an office here in the UK since 1999, and we have always made video surveillance products. In 2008, we transitioned from traditional analog technology to IP technology. In 2013, we delivered our first IP-based automation driver to the CI sector. And we learn, we listen, and we adapt. We are agile. Today's session on the AI Edge camera is looking at the 7 series. So we'll start with a 7 series overview. We'll look at the AI plugin, the different engines available, the behaviors for these engines, the user interface, the AI PTZ tracking dome, and also YOLO. The 7 series camera is a 4K 8 megapixel camera. It utilizes the Sony Starviz sensor, so it's extremely good in low light conditions, and it has H.265 and H.264 video compression. We have various models available, from mini domes to bullet cameras, from short range bullets to long range bullets, and even a PTZ model. Many models have the PIRIS, and have high efficiency IR LEDs. We also have one model with white LEDs. There are two-way audio capabilities on these models, and they also support digital inputs and digital outputs. They are on-vid profile S, T, and G supported, and of course, are weather resistant. So how do we go about setting up a 7 series camera with an AI license? Well, first, we need to purchase the camera. So this is one of the chassis available. We could choose mini dome, bullet, or PTZ. Once we've purchased the camera, we need to check that it has the latest AI plugin running. So this is a screen grab of the plugin, and we can see a version number on it. I will show you where this is in a few slides' time. Once we've installed the plugin, we run the plugin, and we license the camera. We also have trial licenses available, so you can trial for up to 30 days. However, once you have purchased a license, obviously you won't need to repurchase. The license is a lifetime license for that camera. So here's the 4K camera running. I'm going to enter the setup menu. It's our familiar looking menu for many of you, and check LPKG. This is where our plugin is located. I can see the version here, and I can see it's running. I click on this, and it now runs the plugin for me. Here, I'm simply searching to check that I am licensed. When you run the plugin, all the different engines that are available are actually installed on that plugin. So you then need to license it with a specific license. Different licenses or engines we have include home security, mass detection, density and counting, construction site, smog, AMPR, make and model, vessel, and even an animal engine. So once you're running the plugin, you'll see this user interface. First thing I'm going to highlight is classifications down here. Now, these will relate to the type of engine you have chosen. Here, I've chosen home security. So I'm looking at things that are relevant for the home security, things I might see outside of my premises, such as a person, a bike, a car. We will keep adding classifications as we go on. So always make sure your plugin is up to date and these classifications will appear to suit the license you have chosen. Once you have your classifications, we then have the settings here. We can create up to 4 zones. Once we've drawn the zones, we choose the classification we want, and then we set the object size for detection. We can also set a confidence rate and a dwell time. So how long can that object be in the scene before we create the alarm? Now, to create the alarms, we actually need behaviors. So we have prohibit zone. So I would draw a zone, and if a car appeared in that zone, I could create an alarm. I could have a zone with a dwell time. So the car can enter the zone, but after 2 seconds, it then creates an alarm. There are lots of different behaviors available that are built into these cameras. And I'll cover these in more detail later in this webinar. Once we have detected a classification, we need to trigger an output. So there's different ways of triggering the outputs. We can have virtual outputs from the camera itself, or we can even trigger an MVR via HTTP post. And there's different ways of setting this up. Finally, at the bottom, this interface has the density and counter license. So I can actually use a counter. So every time we see a classified object, we can count up or we can count down. In this video, I'm just going to show you, I've set up a home security and I've drawn a zone here. So zone 1 and 2. I'm just going to highlight car so we can see that even though they're not in the zone, so we're not creating an alarm, they're still being detected because they're in my classification list. I could, if I wished, tick here to show only classified objects. Only ones I've ticked will appear to be being read. And I could also hit this T here, this capital T, and this would mean that we get rid of the text, but we still keep the bounding boxes around the objects that we're looking for. I mentioned behaviors previously. So we have prohibited zone, which is a detection zone, and we can have that with a dwell time. So it becomes a parking violation zone, for instance. We could have traditional tripwires. So when somebody goes over a tripwire, we create the alarm, or we could have one directional tripwires. So when cars go over one direction, for instance, they create an alarm, but when they come back, they do not. For ANPR, we have denied and allowed lists. We have a counting behavior. So when we get above a certain amount of people, for instance, within an area, we could create the alarm. And we also have a PTZ object tracking, which I'll show you a small preview of later in this webinar. So let's have a look at the licenses in more detail. The first one we're going to look at is AI01 home security. So this is looking for humans, bikes, bus, trains. We have a full list here of what we can see as our classifications. In all of these demonstration videos, I'm using a prohibited zone to create the alarm. So we're looking for people in the zone, and we can see I've bounding box has gone red because I'm not supposed to be there. AI02 health. This is our mask detection. So we're looking at masks, non-masks, or even wearing a mask incorrectly. This time I've created the prohibited zone, and I'm looking to see the status of the mask wearer, or if they're not wearing a mask. So Jasmine enters the scene and she is not wearing a mask, so she has created an alarm. AI03, density and counting. On this one, our classifications are actually the same as listed in our 01 home security. However, we now have the counter options at the bottom. So by this, what I've done is I've created a density detection zone. And we can see we've got a human, but I've got it triggering only when there is more than one person in the zone. So while there's one person, it's perfectly happy. When a second person enters the zone, we create an alarm. Obviously, this counter can then range between 1 person all the way up to 99 people. AI 04, construction site safety, helmet, no helmet, safety vest. For this video, I'm going to look to see whether I am actually wearing a helmet and a safety vest. The person has entered the scene. We can see we're getting safety vest detected and a helmet, and we're even detecting the safety vest on the person in the background on the forklift. AI 05, smog, fire and smoke. In controlled conditions, we've set a little fire, and within a few seconds, our AI camera will detect this fire and create an alarm for us. AI 06, ANPR. We have created an ANPR licenses that will detect different EU plates, such as Austria, Belgium, Germany, United Kingdom. We also have Asian plates, Taiwan, Philippines, Japan, Vietnam, and we have all 50 US states also. This is the ANPR, so LPR up at the top. And what we are doing is we're detecting this plate as it comes in, and we can see here it's reading the plate. So I'll play this video again. I've slowed it right down because the detection rate is so quick. This camera is also very good in high-speed environments, and there are a number of videos available on our YouTube channel that show this in action. AI 07, vehicle, car make, and ANPR. So this is a license that combines both ANPR and car make, and we then either use AI home or AI density. This is for our classifications. So I've used AI home, so I'm looking at cars. When the video starts, not only am I picking up the car make, BMW, I'm also reading the number plate at the same time. So a very, very powerful engine. Show you that one more time. The car enters the scene. We're creating an alarm because it's a car. I'm also reading the number plate and detecting that it's a BMW. AI 08 vessel. If you were in a port, you could determine whether the ship coming in is a cargo ship, a coast guard, a cruise ship, a ferry, or even a warship. I don't have a demonstration video of this, but if you go to our YouTube channel, there are videos showing this in action. AI 09 animal. So at the moment in our classifications, we have bears, cats, dogs, ducks, horse, sheep, deer. But as I mentioned before, this will always grow. So make sure your plugin is up to date. In the video, I'm looking for a bear. We've seen a bear, we've created an alarm. So those were the engines that were available, the licenses we can buy. I've also mentioned behaviours quite a bit during this webinar, and we've looked at tripwire detection zones, and I've mentioned them a lot. I just want to show you a few of the other behaviours we have. So in this little video, I'm going to activate a zone with dwell. So I've gone for a person, but when the person enters the scene, I don't create an alarm until 5 seconds. This is because I've done a zone with dwell. So there at the end of the video, we see after 5 seconds, we've created the alarm. So this could be used in a no parking zone where you're allowed a certain allocated amount of time. And once you've exceeded that time, it will create an alarm. Another new behavior is this AND. So what we're looking for here is that all objects are detected. So I've selected both a person and a car. For this video, I'm also going to turn off the text on the video so we can only see the bounding boxes, so it's not in the way. In my zone, I have a car, so no alarm is going until the person enters the zone because I'm looking for both. As soon as a person enters, I have a car and a person in the zone, so I create the alarm. The next video is NAND, N-A-N-D, so lack of any object. So again, I've selected a person and a car, but now they're both in the zone, so we are fine. When the person or the car leaves the zone though, we're now one object missing, so we will create an alarm once the dwell time is up. So we can see the bounding box has gone red, and my dwell time is now surpassed. So I've created the alarm because there is no longer a person and a vehicle within the area. So that was a little look at a few of the extra behaviors we have available. So just to summarize the plugin engines we have, or the licenses, we have 01, home and vehicle. We have health, counting, construction site, smog, ANPR, make and model and ANPR, vessel and animal. We also have PTZ tracking, which we will look at a little bit later. But remember, these licenses are forever growing, so please keep an eye on our social media platforms to see which new licenses might become available. This is a sneak peek at the Tracking PTZ. So in Alarm, it looks very familiar. I've activated my classification for people, bikes, cars, and trucks, and I've just drawn a zone. We can see it's already detecting the cars. I'm going to remove the text so it's not in the way. Just showing you what I'm looking for to detect. Then I'm going to go to PTZ at the top. Here, I'm going to say shown zone. So what we're looking for is one of the classified objects that we said, either a car or a person or a bike, to go through that zone. Once they go through that zone, we're going to start tracking them. Now we have several different tracking modes. We can have first in, so the first object that appears in the tracking zone, it will follow. We could have the bigger object first. So if two objects enter together, whichever one is bigger, it will follow. We also have here tracking field of view. So this number means how much do I want the PTZ to zoom in? So the lower the number, the less zoom ratio I'm going to track. So at 11%, I'm not really going to zoom in. I'm going to track left, right, or up or down, but I'm not zooming in too much. While I can increase that number, I will utilize the optical zoom of the camera and zoom and track at the same time. This is a short video showing this. So we've highlighted a truck going through our zone, and we're zooming in as we're following the truck. So I've already highlighted how flexible the 7 Series AI Edge camera is with all the different licenses available. But what makes this camera even more unique is we utilize the YOLO model for our AI engines. So sometimes you'll hear an AI engine called an AI weight or classification. So you can actually train your own AI classification or weight. So this could be anything you like. It could be staplers. It could be cards from a pack of cards. But once you've trained your own weight, you then use our website to convert your weight to an AI plugin that works on our camera. So in theory, our camera becomes your hardware. So you no longer need to run a separate PC with an RTSP streaming for your AI weight. You simply upload it to our website. We'll create a custom firmware for you with our behaviors on as well. So not only will you be detecting what you've chosen to detect, you have all our behaviors available, such as tripwire, prohibited zone, and we provide the firmware for you to run on our camera.
World first 4K Edge camera running YOLO. Many developers are enthusiastic for AI, but there is no professional camera for it. They can only use a USB dongle or a huge server for their AI POC, which both cannot be commercially operated. Creative solutions need practical platforms. LILIN 4K EdgeAI cameras can use developers' self-trained models and combine with the built-in behaviors to build various of applications. You can also use Python SDK to retrieve data from the camera via HTTP post or digital output. It's convenient to trigger peripherals. LILIN 4K EdgeAI camera. No more pain to build an EdgeAI solution.
So in this part of the video, we're showing we have created our own AI engine ourselves, and we're going to upload it to our website. So we find our YOLO and we upload them. Obviously, we've speeded this video up. Once we've uploaded our weights, we're now going to enter our details. Get unlocking key and start converting. Once the conversion's finished, we'll actually get an AI plugin that we can load onto our camera that is fully licensed and ready to go. And we simply upload that to our camera. So why LILIN? Well, we're a global organization. We've been around for over 40 years, and we have branch offices in 12 countries, a massive global network of distribution partners. We are agile, able to adapt to new challenges. We bring new technologies, such as this new 7 Series camera to you. We have strong cybersecurity policies. We work with Deloitte very closely in Taiwan to make sure security is high on our priorities. We have huge online resource platforms, and we're here to help. So thank you for joining us today on the webinar. I'm now going to spend a few minutes looking to see if you have any questions. Okay, the first question is, can I use multiple licenses on one camera? This is a good question. Yes, you can. The cameras work on what we call ADA points. Now, depending on how many points a license is, you can use a certain amount of points per camera. I'm not going to cover this today, though, because it's quite complex. But speak to your LILIN representatives, and they'll be more than happy to go through which licenses you can use in conjunction together. The next question, if I've purchased a license, is it a lifetime license? Yes, for that camera, it is a lifetime license. The next question, if I purchase a license, can I update it? Yes, you can. As mentioned, as long as you have the license, you can update the plugin as and when we add new classifications to your license, or even behaviors we may decide to add in the future. So this is a fully licensed camera, but you benefit from the fact that you can future-proof it. Is this camera compatible with NVRs and Navigator recorders? We will actually be running a webinar next week, which will highlight the integration with our network video recorders. So please tune in and watch that. With regards to Navigator, we are working on this at the moment, and as and when new releases come out, we will advertise it on our social media platforms, and we will run webinars. Just waiting to see if we have any further questions. Are there any other models available, such as 5 megapixel or 1080p, which can run the AI engine? At the moment, the 7 series is the first series we ever released. This is a 4K series that can run the AI plugin. There is a further series coming in the future, which is going to be called the 6 series. This can run the AI plugin. However, it can only run the AI plugin on the AI 01 home security license. Okay, that's the end of the questions. I hope we've covered everything and you found it useful. Please check out other webinars that you may or may have not seen on our YouTube channel, and always check our social media platforms for any updates. Thank you for joining us.